Hi everyone, this is Sally Miller in Ed Services, and I would like to take a minute to show you what's available in the math curriculum folders. I shared with you early in the year a folder called 2017-18 Math Curriculum Folders. If you can't find it, you can send me an email and I'll share it with you again, but if you click on that folder, you will see the curriculum folders for each grade level. For today's example, I'm going to use grade 3. And there are other resources that I've shared with you there, and I will continue to add to it throughout the year. But we're going to look today at the chapter curriculum maps, and I am going to use chapter 1 as an example. So when I click on that, if it is the first chapter in a new critical area or module, you'll see this overview page, and there are additional tabs across the bottom. So when I click on the chapter 1 tab, that is going to give me a review of the lessons and the standards in that chapter. And the part that I would really like you to pay attention to is what you see in red. I reviewed a document from Achieve the Core, which was a Go Math guidance document that went through every lesson very carefully in Go Math and identified where it was not aligned to the standard or partially aligned. And those notes have been added to the curriculum maps, and you will see them in red. There are also a lot of useful links to things like here there's a rounding chart and rounding number lines where you can click on the link and it will take you directly to that resource. At the very bottom, you will see a link to a PDF of the chapter test that is in EDMS, and I encourage you to use that test instead of the Go Math chapter test, because the Go Math chapter tests have not been revised according to the changes that you see in the curriculum maps. And the tests in EDMS are made from a combination of Go Math questions in EDMS, and SBAC questions. So I feel that they are more aligned to the rigor of the standards. So again, these links just take you to a PDF. If you're going to administer the tests online to your students, you need to search for the number that's given here. That will take you directly to that particular test in EDMS. We'll look at the next tab called Additional Information. If I click on that, this tab is going to give you lots and lots of resources that you can use for that chapter. You really shouldn't have to go anywhere outside of these curriculum maps to find any supplemental materials you may need to teach the content of the chapter. The first section is an alignment to the games from Boxcars and One-Eyed Jacks. Most of you are familiar with that, so I went through and looked at all the games and I aligned them to the chapters. So if I decided I wanted to play one of these games, I can just click on the tab and it will take me directly to the directions and the handouts that are necessary for that game. Not every chapter has games aligned, but most of them have a couple. The next section is alignment to 3-act math tests from Graham Fletcher. A lot of you attended his training last year, and some of the feedback I got was that they didn't know which tasks to teach with which lesson. So here are links to tasks that are aligned to the content of that chapter. The last part is games and tasks that we have shown and used in our track days and academies in the past 2 years. So here's where you have a bunch of extra resources you can use if you feel like your students need extra work or you want to play games. For example, I might look at this and say, that looks interesting, I want to check it out. I just click on that and it will take me to what that task is. I can look it over and decide if I want to use it with my students or not. Here are your literature resources. If you like to use children's literature and math as well, this gives you an idea of some books that are aligned to the content. This is a link to the framework. And then there's some notes and suggestions that are here that come from the members of the 3rd grade implementation team. The last tab has some links to some different websites for games and tutorials. Most of these work, some of them may not. but you can always click on those to see what they have to offer. So in conclusion, I just want to make sure you're aware of all of these resources that are in the curriculum maps to make sure you know that it's important to take a look at what's in red so that you're sure that you're teaching the grade level standards in those chapters and not teaching materials that you don't need to be teaching. And then again, it's a great resource for you to go to find additional tasks and games to use with your students if they need more experiences with the content of that chapter. Thank you.